I'm going to give a bit of a historical context about our social and ethnic roots. The community of Filipino families of which my father and Joyce's father were part of was a wave of Filipino migrants who came to the U.S. after World War II. When Manila fell on January 3rd, 1942, the U.S. Selective Service issued instructions to classify Filipinos as citizens and to allow legal steps to end discrimination against Filipinos in the U.S. Enlistment into the U.S. Navy was extremely competitive. Thousands were enlisted, but more than half were not admitted. Yet, for those who came, this would lead to the sprouting of Filipino communities in several cities near U.S. naval bases, including the Maryland, D.C. area. According to a UC Berkeley scholar's account, the social status and culture of Filipinos became notable as they gained confidence and security, as well as social solidarity in America. Filipinos who joined the U.S. Navy as a condition of their enlistment joined as stewards. According to R.T. Feria, another Filipino scholar in War and the Status of Filipino Immigrants, the practice of employing Filipinos as stewards was probably one of the fruits of imperialism transferred from one colonizer to the next. Filipino recruits had to make a trade-off to accept being stewards in order to migrate out of the Philippines for the benefit of their families. From 1953 to 1958, over 5,000 Filipino families joined the U.S. Navy. Jomal, or Joyce is what my family called her, was my godsister. Joyce's mom, Josephine, was my godmother and was like a second mother in a way. Josephine used to send me birthday gift packages from Maryland when I was a child while growing up in California. Our family had left the D.C. area where they had community friends who'd migrated from the same part of the Philippines. A year or two after my dad's passing in the early 1980s, I traveled by Greyhound bus to the Washington, D.C. area to reconnect with the Alcobers. I stayed with the Alcober family for a few weeks. I went on excursions with Joyce and her friends, and I met all of the families who had known my parents, the Alcobers, the Cadisals, and the Gages. This helped my older siblings who were busy with their own families to later reconnect with them. I would hear from my older siblings about growing up in the East Coast and the snow and the people while I was only 2 years old. My brother Orlando connected with Fred and his family. Edna connected with her godparents and Maria with her godfamily. Facebook also helped us reconnect. My older siblings remember growing up with the Alcober, Cadisal, and Gage families. Lena Gage is the oldest daughter of the Gage family, and she'll share a story later after my sister Maria does. First, you will hear about Orlando, my brother, and his tribute to Joyce.
My name is Orlando Cabin. I am the older brother of Diana, who everybody in my family are very close to Joyce and her family. Goes way back during the time we first came into this country as an immigrant back in the late 50s. Anyway, regarding Joyce, sorry that she passed. For me, I haven't seen her or any of her brothers and sisters since our childhood, but we do remember her quite a bit. We have connected over time. And in my book, Joyce made her choice to be an independent thinker, to do good, and that's always a plus as a positive contributor to our existence in our lifetime, where changes for the better is what makes us a civilized contributor to our existence in this world. That's how I felt about Joyce. I kept in touch with her through Facebook, and anyway, that last sentence that I meant I meant it in a positive way. We always remembered her despite not seeing her all in our childhood years, and out of nowhere, because of Facebook, we find that she's contributed to live the life of experiences that help to change our civilized world in a positive way. And like myself, I was very active as a teenager, and so I understood where Joyce was coming from. in search of a better life for herself and to understand how the world is. And so she sought out and tried to make changes on her own. I truly missed having conversation with her on Facebook, and I was pretty shocked that she had passed. Hopefully, things will, regarding her family, her brothers, they would find peace in her passing and remember her as a child of God. And for me, I will always remember her. I remember her quite a bit as a youngster back in Washington D.C., where she was very very active. Always, as I remember, she was always happy-go-lucky, and I remember her playing with my sister Maria, and of course Maria is a lot older than her, but they were playmates, and so that's how I remembered her. And she was very, I think she was very outspoken, and she followed her heart and what she wants to do in her life. And so I will truly miss her. The whole family, thank you for being part of our life. Hopefully you'll meet your parents up there in heaven and be happy and peaceful.
Maria was a playmate of Joyce's when our families lived in the DC area from the late 1950s to the early 1960s.
Family was very important. Mom and Dad had very, very close ties with their compadres who were our ninang and ninang. And we had a lot of activities that we participated in with the families, the Gages, the Cadasals, the Alcover. And they were key, I just remember them as being key families that we interacted with. Mom and Dad were close to at that time. Family parties, Christmas parties, birthdays, picnics. And I'm very sad to hear that that her time, that she had passed. And that there's a lot of people that she did affect. And she affected a lot of people. She did a lot see from her posts and the people that she interacted with and her passions. She was very passionate about what she believed in. She cared about social injustice. She cared about what was happening with the homeless. She cared very, very much about what was going on in the world. She was a political activist. And I don't know to the degree of, what her professional career was like, but she totally was a voice for those who were, who needed a voice. And that's what she believed in. And that's what I got from my talk. After she contacted me, our interests were very much on the same path. And she was very much on a spiritual path of her own. And that's when her and I connected. She really wanted to make a difference. And there were a lot of questions that came up. I think that she was coming to a point in her life she wanted to, to be sure that she was doing what she needed to do in this life. And I know that having a Catholic upbringing and her lifestyle, she knew that would be very, very challenging, to her family, but she also had to be true to herself. And knowing Joyce, as passionate as she was, from what I gathered and when we spoke, she was going to follow her own path and do what it was that she needed to do to fulfill her life. Jomal, she danced to the beat of her own drum. She was very, very passionate. She's always had, to me, a tough exterior. It's like, I could take care of myself. I could do this. But she had a soft side. Family was very important to her. I really feel that. I really feel her relationships with her mother and her father and her siblings and the people that she became close to and she trusted. She really valued that.